what she said. She's magical, mystical, a powerful wonder girl.
The stress of modern life can take a toll on the health of women, especially with so much societal pressure for women to do it all. Joining us now to talk self-care is Kyla Fox, an eating disorder survivor and specialist, and the founder of the Kyla Fox Centre, an eating disorder recovery centre in Toronto. So welcome back to What She Said.
Thank you so much for having me back.
Why do you think that there is still so much societal pressure for women to do it all?
Well, I think it's because now we can, or now we're allowed to, maybe. And so the ability to have to fill all of those roles, I think, can be unbelievably overwhelming. And I could even speak for myself personally, working, being a mom of 2 little kids, and just feeling like there's no time for me. There's no time to even make it through the day. Sometimes I sort of come down at the end of the day after my kids are in bed, and I look at my partner and I'm like, did we make it through? Like, I take a deep breath and I can't even actually believe it happened, and I can't even recall what happened in the day. I feel like for women, there's so much on our plates, and it's very, very hard to find space for ourselves.
Now, you're not really comparing women to men, though, right? You're just saying for
not
women.
Necessarily. No,
because
no,
it's
not
for all of
necessarily.
us, isn't it? A little bit?
I think so. I think
Maybe
it is
not
for
so
all
much
of
for
us.
men, but
I think it's probably different.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't know that myself, but I certainly hear about it. And I think for women, there's a lot of pressure in doing it all. And I think we value doing it all. I think we sort of have this martyr syndrome, this like we want to be heroes. And I think that's a lot to take on.
Well, one of the things that we've been hearing more about is the stress hormone, cortisol. And you're talking about how adrenal fatigue plays into our busy lifestyle. And is that connected to cortisol?
Well, I mean, I'm not a doctor, so I couldn't talk about it in that way, but I can talk about it again personally. And that for me, what has come out, what resulted for me was just an unbelievable amount of adrenal fatigue as a result of really low cortisol levels, just really burning the candle at both ends, feeling exhausted. And when I'm exhausted, I'm depressed. I feel unmotivated. I feel sad. And as I started to have these kinds of conversations, obviously with clients that come into the center, but certainly with other women that I know personally, it didn't seem as though I was alone in my experience. What I was finding was that people everywhere were experiencing this really zapped out energy, mood, low mood, and just this quality of apathy, really.
So explain to me a little bit about adrenal fatigue, because I've not heard it in those terms before. How would I know that I had adrenal fatigue, and what could I do about it?
Well, if you had it, you would probably feel some of the things that I just mentioned, which was tired, depressed, sad, low mood, lack of motivation. And I also think just getting regularly checked, which is something that I think comes to the forefront for women in terms of self-care, the inability to want to take care of yourself and make yourself a priority. So I think what ends up happening for a lot of women is putting their need to get checked out at the back of the table too. So by the time things kind of come to fruition, they have perhaps, superseded where they needed to be because, people do what they need to do for themselves last.
Well, it's funny because I was just thinking I've been putting off having a physical forever for the very reason. But is there a test for that? Because my doctor's never spoken to me about adrenal anything.
I think there are a lot of blood tests that can do that work. I think there are things that you need to ask for. I think you can do it through different professionals. Yes. I mean, at the Kyla Fox Center, we have an eating disorder recovery program, and then we also have a women's wellness program. And you can seek out a medical lens to do that, so maybe through a nurse or a doctor. But you can also get support for adrenal fatigue through a naturopathic doctor or doing other kinds of things.
Do you think that maybe women are so sort of set up to feel that way that they don't mention it to the healthcare professionals that they come in contact with? Oh, by the way, I'm feeling really down and I'm feeling burnt out and I'm stressed and I'm not sleeping, that they should be bringing this to the forefront. This is not a nothing thing.
I think that's a really important point. I think they should be bringing it. But I also think that when people do bring it, it maybe isn't received in the way it needs to be as well.
Sounds like complaining.
Like it's normalized, or it's, of course, you're tired, you have so much going on, and that's really normal, and you're not the only one that feels that way. And I think that's important because we certainly need to be supported. But it doesn't necessarily mean that the way you feel should be normal or is normal or that it can't change.
Well, tell us a little bit about the Women's Wellness Program that you've launched.
So the Women's Wellness Program was really just an opportunity for me to bring women together, whether collectively or individually, in a space where they can seek out the kinds of supports that they would maybe want for self-care and self-betterment and self-improvement in a whole array of expertise. So whether that's seeing a therapist for individual work or couples work or families work, whether that's seeing a nutritionist for meal planning or cooking, or just, trying to support yourself through the week and meal planning. Sometimes people want to see a naturopathic doctor for acupuncture, meditation, mindfulness.
And you can get all these things through the Kyla Fox Center, through this new program.
Yeah, exactly. What I was finding with the eating disorder program is that people who no longer felt like they had eating disorders, or those who never classified as having eating disorders, really wanted to engage in the services, but they didn't want to come into the center because they don't have eating disorders. And so I thought, why don't we offer these services to all women, eating disorders or otherwise, in a space where it's women-oriented and women-connected?
Do you have any tips for avoiding burnout?
Oh, it's such a good question.
I think that if you have the tips, you're going to be immortalized.
And it's one thing to maybe have the tips, but then to apply them, I think, is a different thing, right? So do I have them? You know what? I found for me, I used to feel like I was going to be a better mom and a better person in my career if I was constantly present and showing up all the time. And I actually feel what I've learned is to say, no, I'm not going to be there. I need to get a babysitter. I'm actually maybe going to go away for a night. Like those kinds of things used to make me feel like a really bad mom. Mm-hmm. And I've come to realize that they actually make me a much better mom, that taking the space and taking the space from work, blocking things off in my schedule, and just knowing that it's going to be okay.
It's sort of like the Jessica Parker movie where she buys the pie from the supermarket and then rolls the rolling pin on it so it doesn't look perfect and brings it into the bake sale. It's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
It's okay not to do it all and be
And it's impossible to do
everything.
it all. It's impossible.
Mm-hmm. All those services that you listed before, everything is available through there. How do people connect with you?
Good question. Through our website, KylaFoxCenter.com, or to call. And there's a 30-minute free initial consultation. So if there's any curiosity about any of the programs that we offer, people are welcome to come in and just meet with that practitioner so that they can get a better sense of what would happen in that work.
Are any of your programs covered by any forms of insurance? Some probably.
Some yes, for insurance, yes. So there certainly could be reimbursement in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And tell everyone why you believe that self-care is so important in this crazy world.
Because I think we don't know how to do it, and I guess I could only speak personally. I think it's really important for so many reasons. I mean, obviously just to feel better on the day-to-day, but I also feel it's really important when women can come together to do it. Because then I feel like we're supporting each other. And I think often we're not positioned to do that. And it's really important to me to bring women together and to have honest and open conversations that allow us to take care of ourselves and each other.
It seems to me that the main takeaway is learning how to say no, which is not something my child raising.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I'm going to say that, if you ask Christine, she is tireless working for charities and doing all kinds of things. But sometimes I say, you need to say no. You can't book yourself that much every weekend.
I think I have your syndrome.
Yeah.
It's a hard one.
It's a hard one to say no. It's just to start,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You never know which one to back away from. I guide her now.
See, women supporting women. Connection. This is what I'm talking about.
All right, the website is the Kyla Fox Center.
It's www.KylaFoxCenter.com.
.com. Okay. .com. That's excellent. And thank you for doing this and for bringing women together to do it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, she said mystical or powerful